Hello and welcome to today. Hello and welcome to today. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to today's virtual happy hour tour. I am Brenda with AARP Arizona. We are the nation's Hello and welcome to today's virtual happy hour tour. I am Brenda with AARP Arizona. We are the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence and nearly 38 million members across the nation and approximately 900,000 right here in Arizona, we work to strengthen our communities and we advocate for what matters most to families: health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment, to name a few. In May, AARP helps consumers know what they can do to protect themselves and their loved ones from fraud. Two areas of focus will be gift cards as a form of payment and scams, and narrative change to social change. ARP is your wise friend with resources to help consumers spot and avoid scams and a fierce defender that is advocating for better protections on your behalf. Please visit us at aarp.org/fraud watch network. Thank you again, and with that, I will turn it over to Marshall.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-white every folk, welcome to the show. Get ready to meet your host for the night, Arizona's very own hip historian himself, Marshall Shore.
If you take the mute off your mic. Hello, and I want to welcome you all to Arizona History Happy Hour. I am so happy that you can join us this evening. We have an amazing show for you this evening. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I do want to say welcome. My name is Marshall Shore. More on that in just a moment. I want to welcome you all on whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, because all these wind up being archived on Hip Historian on our YouTube channel. So that way, if you miss one, you can go back, or maybe you have a favorite episode. Like I have a feeling this one might be some of the favorite for some of you out there. So, all right. So today is June 1st. And we all survived through April. But on this date, back in 1935, what was going on was there was livestock in Utah, basically, that was being brought across the border to Arizona to feed and then taken back and sold. And that caused lots of issues because they weren't paying taxes in Arizona, but consuming Arizona grass. So they actually started adding some of those stock companies to the taxation here. So that way there was, I guess, equal representation. Not quite sure what you'd call that, but indeed they figured a way around it back in the day. It is also Oscar the Grouch Day because this is Oscar the Grouch's birthday. So if you wondered how old he is, I've not been able to find an exact year, but at least today was announced as his birthday. It's also Say Something Nice Day, which Oscar never would have said anything nice about anybody because he was indeed such a grouch and still is a grouch. But, make the day better for someone just by saying, even, nice smile. The simple things make the day go so much better. It is also Hazelnut Cake Day. I love hazelnuts. I mean, especially in like Italian cakes, ice creams, and all those goodies. So today is a day to go out and indulge. So run out after this show and get yourself something made out of hazelnut, whether it's cake, ice cream, or who knows what else. Now, you might want to do that before the end of the day because it's also New Year's resolution, recommitment day. If any of you actually are still looking at some of those commitments you made for New Year's, you're at that six month part. You've made it halfway there. So there you go. Time to re up and maybe continue on with those good habits that you formed, or realize you gave up and yeah, 6 months more months of bad habits. It is also National Heimlich Day because 1974, Dr. Heimlich just basically rolled out that Heimlich maneuver, which has saved so many people's lives. So you can say something nice today and save someone's life. What can you expect from tonight's show? Well, if this is your first time watching, we've always got a little bit of trivia going on, which you'll find out more about that in just a bit. From the vault, we do a little bit of Arizona music history, which is so on theme for today, as well as a beverage, a small town right here in Arizona, and of course, a super amazing guest. Now, if this is your first time watching, you might wonder, who is that man and why is he on my screen? Well, I got to Arizona about 23 years ago. I was working in Brooklyn at a beautiful Carnegie building and decided to trade all that snow, wind, and slush for a little library in South Phoenix where there was a rich oral tradition of the community. And so I started learning about Arizona through other people's stories, and so that's what I still do today is share Arizona through stories of people, places, and things. And promptly when we got here, moved into a beautiful 1956 ranch that was so many tones of beige. I have to say now it is a seafoam and cantaloupe. Beautiful outside. Inside is still a time capsule. There's what my kitchen looks like today. All that buttercream yellow tile with matching appliances. The floors are new, but we tried to stay kind of in the same vein. Now, as soon as we got here, all I kept hearing about how there was no history here. But I knew that wasn't true because every time I went somewhere, I kept coming across so many amazing people, places, and stories. And so that's part of what I'm doing today is just trying to help us remember what an amazing place we're at, or highlighting some of those amazing things about the Southwest and Arizona. Now, my name is Marshall Shore, as I said, but I'm also called the Hip Historian, which means I get to play with Arizona history. And so today being June 1st, so it's national. So basically it's Pride Month. And so coming up this coming weekend, actually Roosevelt Row in Phoenix is going to be doing a kind of a recognition of what is called the Fruit Loop, which was an area that was really popular from the 40s through the 90s. The police called it the Fruit Loop because they knew that there were LGBTQ folks hanging out there. So it was initially a derogatory term. And so this is a chance for some of those shops to really highlight LGBTQ history and to really take some of that power back. I'm also right in the throes of working on an LGBT history book of Phoenix, done through Arcadia Press. So there'll be more on that, as well as I think later in the next couple of days, we're rolling out a podcast, which is really cool. It's actually, we were able to meet with a woman. Her name is Rock Rose. And so she was in the 80s really got into body image, but through a completely different way than what we think. But she changed how people look at themselves and feel about themselves. So be sure to check out AZ Gay History on Facebook for more information about that. And so I see many of you have already found the chat session. So thank you for being here. Now, if you find something that you want to mention maybe after the show, you can reach out through all the different socials, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, email, website, whatever. I love to hear from you all. In fact, some of you have given me some of my best ideas for shows. So happy to hear from you or ask questions. Oh, and now we're going to talk about Little Arizona. So we are going to talk about a little town called Amada, Arizona, which is in Santa Cruz, has a population of just under 300, was founded back in 1919. And if you think you've never seen a motto, if you've ever watched Oklahoma and maybe you've even sung along with "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning," indeed you have been to a motto because that's where that was filmed. Not Oklahoma, it was Southern Arizona. at its best. There also was a scene from Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which went on to become the iconic Mel's Diner TV show that, that also had a connection to Phoenix and Arizona. And so it was filmed right here at this amazing restaurant that opened up in the 70s. And you can now still go today. It is still a functioning restaurant. And because of this restaurant, and then actually right across the street was, so kind of the history of Amado was it was a stagecoach stop. And that stagecoach stop became called the halfway station and became a really well-known restaurant to the point where celebrities would hang out there. I mean, Paul McCartney filmed a video. It was said that Elizabeth Taylor loved it so much that she would order her beans and have them flown to her across the globe. They were that good. I wonder what they were putting in them. All right. But it is not the only place to see stars if you're in Amato. There's an observatory there where you can see stars as well. So back in the day, you would see stars, and you can still see stars in Amato. So take a visit to Amato and take a dip into history. And so, PJ, when I told him about the theme for tonight's show, he was like, oh, there is only one beverage that will do for tonight. And I was like, and what is that? And he was like, the ever classic ranch water, because it's kind of the beverage of the Southwest. And its history of how it got formed is kind of, I've seen various versions, but it's basically soda water, tequila, and a little bit of lime. And it's been served at least since the 60s, if not beyond that, as a refresher. I love it. It's like, I can't believe I've actually been to Amato and didn't even know it. Oh, that's very refreshing. I can see why it's been so popular for so long as a way to keep people hydrated and happy. All right. So now is our chance where you get to hear from someone else other than just me. And oh my gosh, wait, I'm so excited to bring on our guest tonight. Oh, we've only been talking about this for, I think, like the last 6 months or something like that. So, all right. So, hello, Lynn.
Hello, Marshall.
How are
Lovely
you
to
doing?
see you again. I am
It is
good.
so good to see you.
You too. And I have to say, I loved that fun fact about the movie Oklahoma. Oh my God. That was amazing.
And
Who knew?
that it wasn't Oklahoma, that it was Amato that was famous for beans. Who knew?
Who knew?
Exactly. So, Lynn, for folks who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a historian, a novelist, and an archivist. And my greatest claim to fame is that I was the company historian for Levi Strauss & Co. in San Francisco for 25 years. And if you ever heard stories about the company paying ridiculous amounts of money for old jeans, I was the one spending the company's money. And I got to travel the world with old pairs of jeans, which you yourself, Marshall Shore, have seen. And I would show them off.
Indeed.
And I would talk to people all over the world. I was on the Oprah Winfrey Show with my old jeans. I was up there on stage with Oprah. It was an amazing, amazing job. And then after I left the company, I wrote a biography of Levi Strauss, the man. It's called Levi Strauss, the Man Who Gave Blue Jeans to the World. And since then, I have been obsessed with dude ranching. And I've been writing a lot about it. I have my Western duds that I like to wear. And I write and dream about the West. That is where I live and what I love.
But I can remember that first time we met at a conference and you pulled out those miners jeans. But you also, your passion for those dude ranchers was not even obscured then, because you had the men's jeans. But I remember also then you pulling out this pair of women's jeans that had the woman's name in the back of them.
What a
And
memory
the
you have. Oh my
smile
gosh.
on your face as you talked about her. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Well, because I mean, it was your passion that came through. You started talking about those jeans and you lit up.
Well, of course I did.
So,
well, for one thing.
so even back then, I'm not shocked.
Oh, well, you're so wonderful. Well, Levi's created the first blue jean for women was called Lady Levi's in 1934, and it was for women to wear on dude ranches. And we had this pair owned by this woman named Harriet Atwood, and she wore them at the Soda Springs Dude Ranch in Rimrock, Arizona in the 1930s. And when I left the company, if I was going to steal anything from the archives, when I left, that's what I would have taken.
Wow. Very cool. So, all right. So we are going to do some trivia. Now, what is unique about the way we do trivia here on Happy Hour is we go through the questions that are all multiple choice, and we'll take a little bit of an Arizona music break and then come back and talk about the stories of those answers. And for me, that's where the magic really happens. Now, I know Anita's on. She already has her special notebook out and pen at ready to keep her score. However you want to do it, some folks keep score in the chat. Whatever you want to do, you go right ahead. No one's going to come by and grade your test. And it's all for just the sheer fun of learning about Arizona. All right. So, question 1. When was the first Dude Ranch founded? Was that A, 1942, B, 1901, C, 1882, or D, 1914? So when was the first Dude Ranch founded? Those were all a long time ago, but wonder which one. All right. Question 2. In what city was the first Arizona Dude Ranch founded? Was it A, Mesa, B, Wickenburg, C, Tucson, or D, Oracle? So where do you think the very first Dude Ranch in Arizona was founded? I have a good idea. All right. Question 3. Which of these Dude Ranches has the oldest continuously used building in Arizona? Oh my gosh. Okay. A, Rancho de los Caballeros in Wickenburg. B, the White Stallion Ranch in Tucson. C, the Circle Z Ranch in Patagonia. Or D, Rancho de la Oso in Sasaba. Did I? All right. So as we move on from question 3, we're going to question 4. All right. Which Farmer Dude Ranch is now the site of a prestigious boarding school? Oh, who knew? Okay, was it A, the Flying V in Tucson, B, the Quarter Circle V Bar in Mayer, C, the Remuda Ranch in Wickenburg, or D, Sprucedale Ranch? Oh, Remuda. I was like, is it like Bermuda, but with an R? And indeed. All right. Or D, Sprucedale Ranch in Alpine. Oh. So which one of those do you think is now the site of a prestigious boarding school? All right. Here we are at that halfway point. Which of these Dude Ranch themed movies was set in Arizona? Oh, okay. Was it A, City Slickers from 92? Was it B, Ride 'em Cowboy from 42? C, Dude Ranch from 1930? Or D, Buck Benny Rides Again from 1940? So which one of those Dude Ranch themed movies was set right here? All right. Which of the following is not an Arizona Dude Ranch? A, Stagecoach Trails Ranch, B, Elkhorn Ranch, C, Tombstone Monument Ranch, or D, Circle Bar Ranch? So which one of those is not in Arizona? Which of these Arizona Dude Ranches hosted military men and women during World War II? Oh, all right. Was that A, the Flying E in Wickenburg, B, the Flying V in Tombstone, C, the Y Lightning in Hereford, or D, the Triangle L in Oracle? So which one of those hosted military folks during World War II? All right, question 8. Which of these Western TV shows offered viewers a stay at an Arizona dude ranch during a promotion back in 1958? Oh, was it Gunsmoke? A, B, the Sheriff of Cochise County, B, or Rawhide, for C, or is it D, Tombstone Territory? So which one of those Western TV shows offered viewers a chance to stay at a real Arizona dude ranch? Oh, I'm sure so many kids wanted that. All right. Okay, so question 9. Which of the Arizona which Arizona city was once called the dude ranch capital of the world? Oh my. Okay, A, Wickenburg, B, Tombstone. I'm sorry, B, Tucson, C, Mesa, or D, Tombstone. So which one of those cities was called the dude ranch capital of the world? All right. Question 10. Which of these Arizona cities has artist communities which used to be dude ranches? All right. So do you think it's A, Tucson, B, Benson, C, Oracle, or D, Flagstaff? So which one of those cities has artist communities in what used to be dude ranches? All right. And so while you're locking in your very final answer, we are going to take a quick Arizona music break to talk about Billy Maxwell. So Billy Maxwell was the cowgirl singer. So she grew up in a little town called Nutrioso, and she singing music. Back in 1929, she had the opportunity with her and her family. Her dad was a musician and had a group called the White Mountain Orchestra. And so they all got a chance to go and record Victor Records. And so she was recording with the group, making her the first group of recorded music for Western. But she was also then asked to sing some songs on her own. And it was talked about how she would sing songs for the average common woman about waiting for her man to come back from the ranch, of herding all those cattle and everything else. So Billy Maxwell, this record is super rare. They do have a small display of her stuff up at the MIM in Phoenix. But I have several friends who are desperate. If you ever find any bad Billy Maxwell records, let me know, because they would love to add those to their Arizona collections. All right. And so now who's ready for some answers? I know I sure am. Oh my gosh. Okay. So when was the first dude ranch founded?
That was 1882 in, believe it or not, Medora, North Dakota.
People could get there then?
Well, what happened was that hunters used to go into North Dakota to shoot interesting wildlife, and hunters would come from England and Ireland, and anybody who had a cattle ranch in the area would host these men for free. Well, the three Eaton brothers from Pittsburgh were also doing this, and one day they said, "We're losing money on these guys. We're feeding these guys and housing them for free." So they set out a guest book and made these men pay $10 a week. And that was the genesis of the dude ranch. And then the Eaton brothers realized they'd created a whole new business and moved to Wolf, Wyoming in 1904. And they are still in business there today.
Wow.
Dude
That
ranch
is cool that you can
41 years old. Yeah.
And that you can trace it back to that genesis of the idea.
Exactly.
Is just
in fact,
amazing.
one of their neighbors there in Medora was Theodore Roosevelt and his Maltese Cross Ranch. He even came to visit once.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
That is
wow. And he was just like a politician in New York. He wasn't anybody then. He was just this dude from New York.
Knocking on the door.
That's right.
How incredible is that? All right. What city was the first Arizona Dude Ranch in Arizona? Was it founded?
It was Wickenburg. And in fact, it was a place called the Garden of Allah, which is that building in that photo is now
Oh,
the Hassayampa River Preserve outside of Wickenburg, which is part of Maricopa County Parks. It was founded in 1912 and is considered the very first dude ranch in Arizona.
wow. So the history of dude ranches in Arizona goes back to statehood.
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing.
How appropriate, don't you think?
That is. I mean, because it's that whole mythos of the Southwest. I mean, of getting a chance to just kind of play cowboy.
Exactly. And the other reason for Arizona suddenly, perking up and opening dude ranches is ranchers in Montana and Wyoming could not host people at their ranches in the winter. You're not going to a ranch in Wyoming in January. Guess where people could go in the winter to a dude ranch? Arizona.
That makes perfect sense because also you had some folks who were coming here even then to get away from those winters.
Yep, those snowbirds have been around a long time.
Wow. Indeed, they have. All right. There we go. All right. In Arizona.
Rancho de la Osa in Sasabe, I think that's the correct pronunciation. This building is called the Cantina, and it
Oh,
was built in the 1700s by Father Eusebio Francisco Kino. And from what I
oh my
understand and
gosh.
what I've researched, it is that old. And it's been shored up, obviously, but it's still in use at Rancho de la Osa, which is a dude ranch that goes back to the 20s. Still in use and protected.
Wow. I honestly didn't realize there were any buildings that Father Kino had built that were still even around.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is. All right. Which former dude ranch is now the site of a prestigious boarding school?
It was called the Quarter Circle V Bar. And it is today, as it was at the same time, the Orm School, ORME, the Orm School in Mayer, which is one of the country's most celebrated boarding schools. The Orm family started the school just to educate their own kids, but they also had a dude ranch, to help make a little bit of money. And the school grew out of the dude ranch.
Oh, oh, wow. That's actually a really cool story about how it started with education and just kind of grew into this whole other sideline.
Exactly.
All right. Which of was set right here in Arizona? Ah,
A very goofy movie called Ride 'em Cowboy. And it's the story. It's sort of a typical dude ranch movie story. Eastern dude comes west and tries to win the heart of the
Big
spunky
Costello,
cowgirl.
exact.
You know, and Abbott and Costello, and it all has a
Right.
rodeo sub theme. And Abbott and Costello save the day in their western clothes at the dude ranch. And this movie is also known for being the very first film in which Ella Fitzgerald appeared, and she sang "A Tisket a Tasket" in this movie.
Oh my gosh.
What a
Wow.
cast,
So
right?
not just the first Dude Ranch thing moved. Yeah. I mean, Abbott Costello and Ella Fitzgerald. That's pretty. I didn't realize there was kind of that Arizona connection with that song. How cool is
Yeah.
that? All right. So, question 6. Which of the following is not an Arizona Dude Ranch?
That would be the Circle Bar in Montana. I believe it's Utica, Montana. Wait, let me look at my notes. Yes, it is. Utica, Montana.
Ah,
But it has such a classic dude ranch name, you know.
I would swear. I mean, was there a Circle Bar ranch, not a dude ranch in Arizona? Because I would swear I've seen that. It may be just such a popular and easy one to do.
It's easy. I think the word circle and the word, well, certainly the word bar is in a lot of dude ranch names, and it's not what you
So,
think. It doesn't mean like a saloon. It just means a bar is part of your brand.
right, yes, exactly. Yeah, no cocktail. Well, there were cocktails. I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were serving up some ranch water.
Oh, guess what? For years, dude ranches didn't not allow. They did not have saloons or cocktail lounges in their locations if they wanted to be a member of the Dude Ranchers Association. So people could bring their own liquor and drink it in their cabin, but there weren't any cocktail bars or anything until probably the 60s. And now, of course,
Wow.
yeah. Well, Dude Ranchers didn't want to be bouncers. So
Oh, that's true.
yeah, yeah.
That's so interesting that
Mhm.
that was the case. All right, which of these dude ranches hosted military men and women during World War II?
That would be the very interesting Flying V in Tucson. I found this wonderful story, and this is a picture from 1943. And so the Marana Air Force Base was nearby, and a lot of women worked there. They were called WACs, Women's Army Corps, and they supported the military. They were teletype operators, telephone operators, dispatchers. And this group of women in 1943 took their 3-day pass and went to the Flying V in Tucson. So somebody drove them into Tucson, and then the wrangler from the Dude Ranch picked them up and brought them out to the ranch. And they spent their 3 days at the Flying V. And just before they left, one of the women told the owner that she finally had something to write home about.
Wow. All right. Which of these Western TV shows offered viewers a stay at an Arizona dude ranch back in 1958?
It was apparently a promotion with White King, like laundry detergent or something. Anyway, if you entered this contest as part of the Sheriff of Cochise, you could go to the Swiss Helm Lodge and Guest Ranch in Elfrida, Arizona, and a whole family could go. And the Sheriff of Cochise TV show even had a couple of dude ranch themed episodes as well.
Oh, so it would have been a kind of a cross promotion across the entire thing. Wow, as well
Exactly.
as a station wagon.
I know. You could drive your station
And
wagon.
not just anything, but a Chrysler New Yorker station wagon. Oh my,
Wouldn't you love to have that
full
car?
of all your kids.
Yeah.
That-
I think we had that car when I was a
oh
kid.
my God, I would love to. I mean, it's like with those fins and everything. Yeah.
I think
But
we
in
had one.
Arizona, I can just imagine how hot that car would get.
Oh my God.
I mean, oh, indeed, what a beautiful car. All right. Which Arizona city was once called the Dude Ranch capital of the world?
That would be Wickenburg, which called itself the Dude Ranch capital of the world beginning in the 1930s for decades. I think well into the 1990s and maybe even later. And they use that name as part of their promotion. This is an image. It's a cowboy hat shaped postcard from 1950. And somebody has written on the back about how hot it is when they're visiting Wickenburg. It's part of
Oh, they should come back now and visit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that's part of my Dude Ranch collection. I've been collecting memorabilia now for about 10 years, and I'm not obsessed or anything, but I have about 100 pieces of Dude Ranch memorabilia in my house. You understand.
Well, okay. Wait, okay. I like how you said you're not obsessed, but by looking at the wall behind you, there's not a lot of white space. Not that I'm pointing anything out. I'm just, you're not, I'm not obsessed, but yeah, there's no more room on my walls, but I know that feeling, but.
I know you do. Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. So All
Yeah,
right.
let's
But
move
oh my
on.
gosh, what a cool postcard that is.
Isn't it great? And it's really thick,
Because
heavy
did
cardboard. Yeah.
well, because also didn't Wickenburg have there was I want to say there was like a cafe or something that had like a big hat that was shaped like that.
That was right on Wickenburg Way, and it was actually a souvenir stand. And that's exactly what it was. It was a
Oh,
huge, gigantic cowboy hat, and somebody was in had it was like at the top, and then somebody was inside selling souvenirs. And it finally, drunk people on Saturday night kept driving their cars into it, and in the 1960s, it just like disintegrated, which is really too bad. But there are a lot of photos of it, which is what you're thinking of. So people took a lot of pictures of it. They're really wonderful
yeah.
photos up there. And that's exactly what this is.
Oh, that I didn't realize it was kind of like the postcard that was kind of a continual theme
Yep.
because
The
they've
big hat.
yeah, I mean they've redone that theater there, which is pretty spectacular.
The saguaro. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, redid some of that neon, brought it back to life. So,
I know. It's great.
all right. So, which of these Arizona cities has artist communities which used to be dude ranches?
That would be Oracle, which I had the great pleasure to visit when I was there last November on my book tour for my history book about dude ranching, which is called American Dude Ranch. This is an old postcard of Rancho Linda Vista when it was a dude ranch. And it is now the Linda, wait a minute, gotta get this right. It is the, oh, I can't find the proper name. Linda Vista Artist Community, I believe. And then I gave a talk at the old Triangle L Dude Ranch, which was only a dude ranch for a couple of years, but it had been a cattle ranch. And it is this amazing collection of outdoor sculptures, and they have artist residencies. You can rent the beautiful old homes that are on the site. And they're both in Oracle. It's amazing. And they're both dedicated now to art and used to be dude ranches.
Well, and so what I love about this, I mean, you have that history, kind of the Southwest of the arts, but like with this one, that's where Andy Warhol stayed when they were filming at Old Tucson, and as part of Lonesome Cowboy, and actually stayed here and filmed at the ranch as well.
Really?
So you didn't
That's
realize you were,
amazing.
I mean, it's like, yeah. So
Wow.
I mean, I love the fact that Andy Warhol was here shooting a movie that was originally supposed to be like kind of like Romeo and Juliet, a version and the set in the Southwest, but it quickly did not turn into that at all. It got to the point where actually they were kicked out of Old Tucson Studios because of bad behavior and
No.
indecent exposure. I'm sure was involved in that as well. I know. As families are walking through on a tour suddenly. So,
Wow.
oh, so Lynn, I know my copy of your book is packed, but tell us the title of your book again.
It's called American Dude Ranch, A Touch of the Cowboy and the Thrill of the West. And it's a cultural history. So I look at the Dude Ranch for the way it influenced and was influenced by everything from film to clothing, movies, or I said movies, books, literature, food, the role of women, the huge story there. It was so much fun to research, and it was just a joy to write.
So tell me about how dude ranches and the role of women.
It's fascinating because women have been part of dude ranching from the beginning, and they were always called the dude ranch wife because it was usually a couple that opened the dude ranch. Very often families had cattle ranches and then decided to bring in dudes to make a little extra money. And there's already a couple running the family ranch. And so there was a great division of labor. You know, the men were in charge of the wranglers and, you know, the livestock. And then the women were in charge of housekeeping, guest relations, and all of that. But there was always sort of cross-pollination. If a wrangler was sick, the dude ranch wife would take the trail ride. If, you know, somebody needed to bring in the horses for the trail rides every day, she would be out there doing that. Some ranches were owned completely by women. There were some in Montana. There were a couple of them in Montana. And then women, just in Wickenburg, women were very influential, not only in dude ranching, but in their larger community as well. It's a really wonderful part of the story.
Well, and and I think kind of the first time I saw women on dude ranches would have been the classic movie The Women, where they're
Oh,
going to Reno to get renovated.
oh my gosh. You have now brought up my favorite film. Um, when you know the whole
I'm not
backstory.
shocked at all
Oh
because
no, I wish I was wearing my jungle red nail polish. Oh my God. Um, it's so in
and
1931,
indeed, yes.
jungle red. In 1931, the state of Nevada legalized gambling and then made it possible for you to get a quickie divorce if you stayed within the borders of Nevada for 6 weeks. So all of these dude ranches around Reno, especially, started advertising, "Hey,
Oh,
ladies, come on down, come
oh.
on down." It wasn't until 1931 they could do that, and that movie's from 1939, based on a 1936 play. So that was a new thing. So then some dude ranches opened up just for future divorcees. And so that scene in the middle of the movie, so when they're in New York, they're in their Adrian gowns. When they're at the dude ranch, you notice they changed their clothes. They changed the way they dressed
Oh,
because
completely. Yes.
they were in
Right.
alien territory. They were in this transition world between their married lives and the divorce lives. So if you're Paulette Goddard, you wear white linen hot pants, white leather gauntlets with fringe. And if you're Mary Boland, the Comtesse de Lave, you wear jeans, a flannel shirt, 5 ropes of pearls, and a diamond brooch. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Indeed, there is not. That was the beauty of this show. It was kind of like you were talking about, like this pair of jeans. I mean, it was like all these well-to-do women going and living on a ranch. I didn't realize they had to be there 6 weeks before they could get divorced.
Yeah, and they
Wow.
could not leave the state for 6 weeks. And they could go into Reno to meet with their lawyer or whatever. And then the town of Reno really went all out to keep these women entertained. They could go gambling. Oh my God. And then sometimes every once in a while, one of those divorcees would go home with a cowboy. So that did happen as well.
Oh my gosh. Lynn, thank you so much for coming on and sharing one of your passions with us.
Oh, thank you, Marshall. It's been
I
such a
really
treat
people
and
go pick up.
so wonderful to see you again.
I know, I agree. We should next time you're in Arizona, let me know and we'll figure out a time we can meet up.
We will.
So, all right. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you, Marshall.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun as we get a chance to kind of explore the Wild West side. And so now, since we're kind of already kind of in that Weckenberg area, I wanted to talk about from the vault is the Wickenburg Massacre. So the Wickenburg Massacre is there was a stagecoach that was going from Wickenburg to Ehrenberg. Before it could get to Ehrenberg, though, it was held up and people were shot. Now there's debate in terms of who actually did the killing, the robbing, whatever. Whether the two survivors of the stagecoach and whether the folks on the two survivors of the stagecoach actually were the ones that staged it, or whether it truly was a robbery. But gold was taken, people were shot, and one of the young folks who was shot. So if you go out there, there is a monument that's close by, but also they buried them where they fell, pretty much. So out in the desert on this old road, you'll find this grouping of rocks, and that is a grave marker. And so you had Frederick Wadsworth Loring, who was a Harvard graduate. He was traveling and just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and was one of those that fell during the Wickenburg Massacre. Now, he had just published a book, and I think in a lot of ways it's considered an early gay romance novel. It was basically about two young men who were roommates at Harvard and their very intimate relationship and how they developed. And I think it's so interesting that we have this LGBTQ history kind of hiding in plain sight that some folks don't know about. I've actually, there are some copies of this at AESU and U of A. I want to get my hands on a copy and just read what it was like back then. So, all right. So now you'll see why I always say, if you're watching on Facebook, you really need to share because we are sharing so much Arizona history and so much love. Oh my gosh. So next week, so last week I was able to go to an event about the demise of Metro Center. And so we're going to replay an episode with Kenyatta Turner, who grew up right around Metro Center. And it was such a fun episode. And so we're going to talk about Metro Center history. And so you'll be sure and want to check that out. It's going to be such a fun show as well. And that is also Thursday night, 7 o'clock, same bat time, same bat channel. And so remember, if you have any stories about, oh, and Lynn just sent me a note saying that she's been, I didn't realize that. Oh my gosh, how, all righty. Well, yet another reason for us to get together and have a conversation. So, I always love to give a shout out to Cole and Chris for that amazing video to start everything off with, as well as my cocktail advisor who got me a little bit of ranch water to keep me hydrated. And because we were kind of talking about fashion, we're going to end with actually a kind of a newsreel clip about some Southwest fashion. It's later than Dude Ranches, but it was still nonetheless iconic.
Easterner Marianne, arriving in Phoenix for an Arizona vacation, is greeted by Joyce, who's wearing a typical Western squad dress from the Arizona Fashion Council. After shopping in nearby Scottsdale, Marianne models her own squad dress with mandarin neckline. Now, off to Camelback Inn, nestled in Arizona's Valley of the Sun. For traveling, squaw dresses are pretty and practical. After washing, the full skirt can be pleated by just drying it in a stocking. Strolling Camelback's grounds, Joyce wears a one-piece outfit with an off-the-shoulder neckline. Marianne's two-tone skirt and blouse is trimmed with ball fringe and has a bow at the neckline. The call of the wide-open spaces beckons the girls to the corral. Marianne wears a typical Western outfit, frontier pants, cotton blouse, and Stetson hat. Joyce models an overblouse of velvet, patterned after those worn by the Indian princesses who long ago rode here in the Valley of the Sun.